Hi, my name is Beth Wallace. Thanks for joining me in this video. I'm the founder and director of a project called Bliss Ireland, and we provide events that promote sexual freedom, health and pleasure in mind, body and spirit. And one of the ways in which we do that is we have an annual festival every summer. And this year the summer festival is taking place at Narrowwater Castle from August 7th to 10th. And in this video, I'm joined by one of the festival speakers, Caroline Ryan. Hi, Caroline.
Hello.
Caroline's coming to the festival to join one of the panel discussions. So, Caroline, can you tell the people who are watching a little bit about yourself? Where have you come from? What are you all about? What do you do with yourself?
Okay, no worries. Well, currently, I'm doing a PhD in Dublin City University. And it's looking at the real-life experiences of female porn stars and how that compares to pro and anti-porn feminist theory. Because there's just not a lot of work done on the actual women themselves, and it's just a way to basically have their voice represented. So I kind of got into that I did the Masters in Sexuality Studies there as well, which, you know, I'm quite biased. It was a great course, but I think I liked it. Because I've always been interested in how sexuality is just something that, you know, it's applicable to everyone, but yet we're so messed up by it, and there's so much judgment, there's so much shame. It's very rare, you know, to have shame-free sexuality, and we're so interested in what other people are doing. And then, yeah, so I kind of became interested in the relationship between power, sex, and knowledge as well through that, so which led me to where I am now. And again, like my work history, I've worked for about 16 years in social care at this stage, and I've worked with, you know, children who've suffered sexual abuse. I currently work in homeless services for women and domestic violence services for women. So I see a lot of negative aspects of sexuality and, you know, basically how messed up people can get around it and stuff. So it's lovely to like be a part of something like this that's like focuses on the positive aspects of sexuality and, you know, just the capacity for pleasure that we have, but yet it's so shamed by society if we try and explore that. So it's an interesting interesting progress, and I'm interested in journey to explore.
Yeah. Wow, you've got such a varied and a rich experience, you know, that you're bringing to everything that you do. It's amazing, and you're not just speaking in Ireland. I know that you're going soon to speak in the United States. So your perspective is very unique and very valuable, I think, on the world stage. So we're really fortunate to have you at the festival. So can you tell us what you're bringing particularly to the festival?
Okay, so I'll be speaking on the Sex Work is Real Work panel. So I'll be looking a lot about the experiences of female porn stars and just the debate around their life and the debate about how their work is not real work. So I'll be kind of going through the pro and anti sex work side arguments, just so people can kind of, you know, grasp where they are, and just give my own opinion on it based on my research so far. And then just kind of creating a discussion around it and stuff, because I think that's kind of part of the taboo, is that we don't have this kind of healthy, open discourse about what sex work really is. I mean, is it people who are all trafficked in from Africa, or is it, you know, the happy hooker, or is it just a mix of the two? So it's interesting to kind of look at like what the reality basically is of the situation. And then as well,
sorry, go ahead. I was just going to say that's one of the things I really appreciate about what you're bringing, excuse me, to the panel discussion, is because it's research based. So it's not just your opinion. It's not just an idea. It's just not just anecdotal evidence. It's really based in actual research with real people's lives and experience.
Absolutely, and that's kind of why I decided to do my PhD, because in my master's I was looking at the sexualization of society, and I noticed that how porn was being blamed for this all the time, and all these assumptions were being made about the women who worked in porn. Not usually the men, I noticed, usually just the women, which is, you know, the different argument as well. But and I noticed that all these assumptions are being made about them without actually any independent, peer-reviewed research. I mean, there a lot of the anti-side based their arguments on the Mies Commission, which was in the 1980s in America, which was staffed pretty much exclusively by anti-porn, anti-sex people that wouldn't really call them independent researchers at all. I mean, so they're quite biased from the start. I mean, they said before they started that sex toys should be outlawed, and they wanted to raise the age of consent to, I think it's 25. So that's not an independent, biased, body of work that can be really reliable. So, and then I noticed a lot of the anti-porn side, they said that they would disavow independent research because they don't feel, it has any value, and they'll only listen to negative testimonies, and they'll disavow the positive testimonies as well. But to me, that's not academic. I mean, academic, you need to be, as objective as you can, and you need to weigh the evidence of both sides, and you need to just look at facts and figures and, real life experiences from both sides, even if it doesn't fit your own personal philosophy on the issue.
Yeah. So
exactly. It just seems nuts to me as an academic that you could say, no, I'm not going to trust peer-reviewed research. I mean, so, it's interesting. So, I mean, there's only really
I think it's great.
That's recent on the experiences of female porn stars. It's James D. Griffith in 2012 who said that he tested the damaged goods hypotheses. So he found that the control group of female porn stars did not have any higher rate of childhood sexual abuse than a control group of people that weren't in the porn industry. So I mean, that's really interesting, but that's kind of the most recent that we have, and it's not big, so more work is definitely needed, more discourse and more dialogue rather than trading on emotional arguments, So yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And you and I both spoke on recently at a conference on feminist pornography and pornography outside of the mainstream. And so I'm hoping as well that I know that that's not the area of your study, but I'm hoping that we can sort of point people as well in the direction of pornography that is outside the mainstream and that isn't exploitative, where it's collaborative and where people are earning fair wages and they're all contributing to how it's being created, etc., etc. So that kind of would be something I would love that we can signpost for people as well, so that we're not just sort of we're actually giving people alternatives. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so then you'll be on the panel at the same time as Laura Lee, who's a sex worker, who's taking action against the Northern Irish government in relation to their stance on the criminalisation of the purchase of sex. And also Kate McGrew, who's a very outspoken and reasonably well-known sex worker in Ireland. So I think it's going to be a really super interesting panel with real life experience, like substantial
That's what's
life
amazing.
experience.
Yeah, because you have the voices of those who are actually involved in the industry being represented, which is just sorely missing, and it's actually given them that platform to speak, which is, to me, that's what feminism is. It's you're giving women a voice and listening to their stories.
Exactly.
You can't have a healthy, unbiased discussion if you don't allow women to discuss their positive and negative stories. So
absolutely.
I'm so looking forward to what those amazing women have to say. They're amazing. They're inspiring.
Yeah, me too. And I think it's I think I'm really sort of impressed with us that we're really quite unusual in that I'm not aware of any other sort of conference or gathering that's looked at sex work that's actually had a majority of speakers who are sex workers. It's usually the other way around. It's usually the majority of people who are speaking are academics or people working in professional organizations. Whereas this is the only time I'm aware where the majority who are speaking are actually people who are speaking from their own direct experience.
Which is it's just so sorely needed. It's just you can't have a discussion. It's like having a discussion on engineering without actually talking to any actual engineers. It's the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So just to wrap up, is there anything else that you'd like people to know about you or about your panel your input to the panel discussion before we wrap up? Is there something that you think people will go away with from the panel discussion?
I'd like to give people a kind of an overview of what the arguments actually are, a more factual, unbiased presentation of how things are. And then Laura and Tim give their insider experiences into that. But I'd like to give people the opportunity to take away from it and think for themselves about where they are, what their objections are, if they have any, if they feel in opposition to porn. It's like, well, where is that coming from in themselves, or where is that coming from society? And just to realize that porn is not one monolithic structure. It's, you know, there's so many niche areas in it. My focus of study is mainstream pornography, but even within that, there's so many niches, and it's not all the same. And then we have feminist porn, so you can't say porn as a whole is bad unless you believe in general that the depiction of sexual images is bad. You know, you can be pro porn but anti the porn industry. You know, so it's really interesting to kind of get into those arguments. So I hope I'd give people a little taster of kind of what the reality really is, as opposed to relying on emotional arguments and, you know, angry polemics and yeah, just feeling reality basically. So yeah, and hopefully it'll be accessible and, you know, fun, and, you know, people can find a safe space to kind of think about these issues.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think it's important to say as well that it's not an academic presentation to academics. No. It's a presentation at a festival that's designed to be accessible to people who are going to the festival, to open conversation and discussion. Yeah, absolutely. Exactly.
Yeah,
beautiful.
No, it's not going to be stuffy, and there's not going to be a whole lot of facts and figures, and, you know, it's just going to be fun and accessible. So easy to.
And people can then interact with you after the panel discussion, and they can, you know, we can provide space for more conversation and more discussion as well. Awesome. Thank you, Caroline.
They can feel free to come up to me at any point over the festival and just have a natter. So that's what usually happens in my life anyway, no matter where I am. So yeah, it works. Even if it's 2 a.m. in a pub on a Friday,
brilliant. So for those of you who are watching, if you've been, if something that's been said here has interested you and you haven't bought your ticket yet, there are still tickets available for the festival. I think there are just about 100 or so tickets left, and we're about 5 weeks away from the festival. So my advice to you would be, if you're interested in coming, that you snap up those tickets quick, because I think we'll probably sell out this year again. So thank you very much for watching, and hopefully we will see you in August 7th to 10th at Narrowwater Castle.